You ever speak to me like that again, better be wearing a cup.
Baby steps.
One break, I'm in
Okay, friends, let's everybody take your positions, please. Here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, rolling. Dave!
And
Dave!
Unchained.
welcome to Dave and Dave Unchained, a Van Halen podcast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Dave.
And we are at episode 53, Dave, and this is our third quarantine special, I guess you could say. We are still quarantined, of course. It is now in May, believe it or not, and it doesn't feel like May for some reason because, I don't know, it's, we're in the bunker here, and, who knows? But at least we don't have any concerts on the horizon. Everything looks like it's going to be locked down for the summer. I'm getting a little grim. I'm going to have to start hitting the YouTube pretty hard. What about you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't, before this started, I was just starting to get to see some local bands around here, and I mean, that's not happening. Not the way it was before.
Absolutely.
So we'll just have to figure it out. Have to figure out the new normal.
And I am going to put out a call, Dave. I am going to put out a call that I think it's time that if anybody out there has stuff they're sitting on, now's the time to release it. So if somebody out there has Van Halen bootlegs, put them up. What are we waiting for? Where is that Oakland show?
Right. I will say that I do see some shows. I think it's stuff that's been out there already. Mm-hmm. But I know I see regularly on VH Trading that people are going into their vaults and digging up stuff they have on cassette or whatever and digitizing it.
Absolutely.
And at least upgrading what's out there already.
Absolutely.
But I would definitely love to see that on a grander scale, or really dig deep into those vaults and find that stuff that. Yeah, I mean, you joke about the Oakland show, but hey, why not? Or those vinyl shows that came out about a year or so ago from 78 and 79 that were soundboard, right? I mean, those came out of nowhere.
Right.
So absolutely, start going into your closets and digging that stuff up. Because what else are we doing?
Exactly. What are we waiting for? And not only that, but there's people out there who I know who have gems. That guy from Fresno, Dave, who keeps releasing all kinds of cool stuff. He put out that Van Halen thing, was it earlier this year when they had Van Halen opening for Sabbath? That was an unbelievable, incredible treasure trove of stuff. But there's people that I know that have stuff that they're sitting on. Not one of our writers or anything, one of our listeners. People that I know that have stuff sitting in their garage, which is a crime. So time to maybe dig in there a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And
we'll dig in there before it starts decomposing.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of decomposing, we are getting to the Van Halen news.
Van Halen
news. Well, Dave, this piece of news really came by surprise. This was not expected. This came out of thin air, and boy, was this a shock to me. And it's interesting, I brought it to the top of the news because I don't think many people heard it or even saw it. But Valerie Bertinelli, Eddie Van Halen's ex-wife, Wolfie's mom, she turned 60 on April 23rd. Happy birthday to Valerie, belated. And she looks amazing. She's still a beautiful woman, full of life. She was on the Today Show. And she was with Hoda, how do you say her name? Kobe? I don't know how to say her last name. I never know. It's
Hoda Kotb, I think, or something like that.
Kotb or something. Yeah, well, Hoda, she's a television personality on the Today Show. And she had Valerie on. Valerie's a big time contributor to the Today Show. They're friends with her, so they sent her flowers, and she was wishing her happy birthday. They were doing a little retrospective on Val because she grew up on TV on One Day at a Time, and everybody knows her. She's like the America's sweetheart type of thing. Out of the blue, and wow, cheers to Hoda on this. I really give her credit. She just turns to Valerie and says, "Is Wolfie still playing in your ex's band?" And I got so excited. I was like, you go, Hoda. And Val was completely surprised. And she was like, he's not playing with Ed anymore. Well, obviously he's always going to play with his dad.
Yeah, she totally was fumbling.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So here's a clip of her talking.
Is he still playing in your ex's band?
He is not playing with Ed anymore. I mean, he, obviously he's always going to play with his dad, but he's got his own record coming out this year. He's such an amazing musician. I am so excited for the world to hear his music.
And as you can see, she was totally taken by surprise. He's got his own record coming out this year. He's such an amazing musician. I'm so excited for the world to hear his music. That's fine for his mom to be supportive. She's excited about her son's album. That's totally great. She said this year, I don't know if we're going to see that, because everybody with this pandemic is now stopping releasing albums. Bon Jovi was supposed to come out with an album next week, and now it's not coming out. The album is called 2020. It's not going out. I even heard that John's going to add songs to the record, and currently it's set for December 31st, if you can believe that. I don't know. He's going to release it on the last day. But
I don't know why people are delaying.
It doesn't make any sense.
Putting out an album because
everybody's
what else are people doing? You're going to listen to music.
Right. Well,
and it's not like you can't get it.
No.
I mean, what, you think everyone's going to a brick and mortar store and buying? I mean, Dave, I think like you and I are one of the few people left who would buy a CD.
Right, exactly.
Right? I don't understand that thinking at all.
And most people, even if they're buying a CD, are buying it on Amazon, or they're getting it somehow through the internet. They're ordering
it. Exactly.
Exactly.
So I understand like if you're delaying a movie because
you
want people to go to the movie, but it's not like you go to a listening party when you buy music. I don't understand that.
According to what I've heard, the theory behind that is that they can't go out and promote it. They can't go on shows. They can't do interviews. They can't tour behind it. And therefore, it doesn't have the prominence and the oomph. And they're afraid to release it and then, have nothing to back it. Also, there's a lot of people who want to do that, first week push where to get that record up as high as possible and to say it's their highest charting record in years. They recently did that.
Right.
And I want to say a few cheers for Satriani. Joe Satriani released his album. He didn't push it back. Thank God for that. And then also the new Soul Asylum album came out. I don't know how many of you guys are interested in Soul Asylum, but they're a fantastic, underrated band. They released their album, and they actually went out and toured ahead of it, believe it or not. I actually saw them with one of the last shows I saw before the shutdown. But yeah, it's funny. And, there's two theories, Dave. There's two theories. What some people think, holy crap, people are home, but release the album, right? And then there's other people like, oh, well, we can't tour behind it, we can't promote it, I want to hold back on it. The interesting thing is, you said the movies earlier. There's two schools of thought with the movies. Now, the new James Bond was supposed to come out. What else is coming out? Black Widow, which is the next Marvel movie. All these different movies, Top Gun, a sequel to Top Gun, all these things have been withheld. Now, what I say is, put it on fucking demand. So this is the funny thing, just to give you a little taste. I know this is not Van Halen related, but it makes sense because of the releasing thing, so people to understand. The new Trolls movie was supposed to come out on the Friday, I believe, of the shutdown. Now, this has more to do with the releasing thing than the movie. So they were going to put it out. They ended up pulling it from the theaters because of the shutdown. And Universal said, fuck it. These kids are home. The parents are probably dying for something for them to do. Put it on demand. And it did better than it probably would have done in the theater. It did bang up business. Then they said, screw it. We're going to release the new Judd Apatow movie in June, which was King of Staten Island, which is the new Pete Davidson comedy. And they're going to put that on demand. And the funny thing is that the movie theaters are now saying, now we're never going to show a Universal film because you guys kind of went around the system.
They'll change their tune.
Yeah, they'll change it.
They'll change their tune.
So the question is, and the reason why I bring that up is because will we see Wolfie's album this year? I don't know. If he can't push it. But you know what? Eddie Trunk had an interesting thing to say. He says, if Wolf wants to release his album, he's going to have to do press. And if he's going to have to do press, he's going to have to answer questions. And if he's going to have to answer questions, he better have some answers about what's going on with Van Halen, this and that.
So that raises a good point, because if he's not going to do any press,
Right?
then he might as well release the album anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, I mean, no disrespect, but it's not like a blockbuster that people are waiting to come out. Right?
Exactly. But you know what? In his world, and he's a young man, he's a millennial, he could easily just go the whole social media route and promote it.
Dave, he's in his late 20s. He's not getting any younger.
I know, absolutely. And my God, this album's not getting any younger. If they go into 2021, that album will be on the shelf for like 3 years. It's right up there with Chinese Democracy, like you said. So, and I have to tell you though, Val's comments, I think, are very telling. I really, really think that it means that Van Halen is no longer. Because he basically is saying that Wolf is not in the band. And if Wolf is not in the band, and we know Dave is not in the band, the only ones left are Al and Ed. And I think Al is ready to retire. He's sort of like, he just turned 67 today. We're actually doing this podcast on Al's birthday. Happy birthday to Reverend Al, 67. I'm sure he wants to, retire. He's had some problems with his neck and his back and this and that. And he's obviously, I don't know, he does a lot of yoga and stuff like that. He's been doing traveling. We saw him in past Van Halen news entries. We've seen him traveling in Switzerland, I think he was. So, maybe these guys are just retired. I mean, it seems like that way. I don't think Van Halen is going to be anymore. I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, we don't really know for sure, but from what Val said, it don't sound so good. So,
I'm holding my breath.
Yeah, exactly. Also in Van Halen news, Family Guy incorporated Van Halen into one of their episodes. Seth MacFarlane's animated show Family Guy injected a little Van Halen into season 18, episode 17, called Coma Guy. In the episode, Peter Griffin was looking to expand his knowledge by going to the library to pick up George Orwell's 1984. But instead, they gave him Van Halen's 1984, and he plays it and he says, "This is books? Books kick ass!" Which I thought was hysterical. And then they show him crashing his car into his house every time he hears Panama. Panama is the theme throughout the whole thing. It's played like 4 different times. And wow, is it hysterical. He grows his hair long. He dresses like Dave in spandex. And his wife says, "I'm not okay with this new Van Halen phase of yours." And one of the best parts of the whole episode is there's a police chase, and where the police dispatch says, "All units, this is dispatch. We got a red station wagon blasting Panama, being awesome, partying, and being rad." and he says, "This is Officer Stickbutt, not in my town." And then so he pursues the red station wagon, and Officer Stickbutt and dispatch says, "Panama kicks way too much ass and shreds way too hard. You'll never be able to catch him." And Officer Stickbutt says, "Negative, dispatch. Just need to wait for that run a little bit hot tonight part," which I thought was the funniest thing. And when they got to the part of the song, the car slows down, and then he makes this incredible jump over unjumpable canyon, which was so funny, and says, "Dear God, he's going to time his jump to the greatest harmonized sound drop in the 80s rock history," which I thought was so funny.
I think they extended it a little bit, too, to make the jump a little longer.
They totally did. That was like the extended mix there. And what I also loved was the way they recreated the 1984 cover. So they made it the angel, but it made it look like one of the Family Guy characters, and I'm sure Margot Nahas must have gotten a kick out of that. I hope she saw that. And Peter says, "I ain't ever returning that CD. It's too awesome." Which I love. And they had a chicken that was behind the wheel of another car that was listening to On and On, believe it or not. And it was chasing him. I thought the episode was so damn funny, right? What did you think of that?
Right, yeah. The chicken's always the running joke with Peter, right? Because every season those two have to go at it in a big brawl-out fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was nice to see Van Halen used so heavily in a popular show. At least somebody out